Buenos dias, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater case. And chosen background of the day, this very threatening looking creature, the hammerhead shark. Of course, I don't think Harry the Hammerhead here needs any great introduction. Don't need to describe why he is relevant to this video. I think as soon as you hear the names Jay Slater, if you've been following the case, and you hear Hammerhead Shark, you should immediately think of those very wise prophetic words of one Chris Pennington, who told us quite clearly how absurd it was for anyone to think that Jay Slater's body could have been dumped in the ravine by going up from the Juan Lopez beach side. As that sage of Tenerife pointed out, CP, he said, you got two problems here. Number one, it's shallow. Boats can't get into that beach. You have to more, what was it, 500 meters? Seems to be a favorite distance of CP's, 500 meters away from the actual beach. Oh, and then he says, by the way, when you do swim ashore, you got the hammerhead sharks. He went on to explain that some lady on Gran Canaria, she got attacked by one at whatever time Chris was talking about. So we have that. That's out there. It's on record. That is definitive. And I just thought you might like a view of the kind of threat that is posed by anyone that would have the stupidity, the absolute ignorance to try to even go onto Juan Lopez Beach and then proceed up the ravine. Stupidity. And yet, we do have some stupid people that not only were prepared to do that, but they made plans. They had plans ready to execute that landing on Juan Lopez Beach, fighting off Harry the Hammerhead, getting up that ravine, even though Chris said, really couldn't be done. Good luck with that. It is stupidity in itself. The very same person that told us how stupid that was planned to do it. I know, you can't believe this. But that's what we have. That's the story we have. Because Chris explained, even though you got these guys to contend with, even though you're moored 500 meters off the beach, even though you're fumbling your way through a ravine looking for a body, he was able and prepared to do all that. That's what we are expected to believe. Okay. There may be some dupes in this world that would believe that. Many of us would say, I don't think this guy is telling the truth. And before we go any further with this story, let's just pause here and speculate what the answers given are. Because presumably, everyone in the accident group is well aware of this contradiction. Number one, Chris Pennington got plans in place to get that boat on Juan Lopez Beach and go up the ravine and find Jay and retrieve the body. But also the impossibility of doing such a thing because you can't actually get the boat on the beach. It has to be 500 meters off, and that swimming distance is infested with these guys. The accident group, as well as our community, is well aware of that contradiction. And you would assume the accident group, because they are 100% convinced that Jay died by accident, that they, with their curiosity abounding, would have gone to Chris Pennington and said, well, which one was true and which one was a lie, just out of interest. And given one of them must be a lie, why did you tell a lie? You see, this is where the whole accident group falls apart. Because someone like Kaz Alice, she's a good friend of Chris Pennington. She surely would have spoken to Chris Pennington and said which one is true and which one is a lie. And what I'm saying in this video is if Kaz Alice hasn't spoken to her good friend about which one is the truth and which one is a lie, then does that not mean that Kaz Alice is very content for lies and contradictions to be spouted about the death of Jay Slater, very content for that to happen, but also very content for the truth never to be revealed and never to be talked about? These uncomfortable questions should never be posed to a friend. Why is Kaz all of this just swept under the carpet? From our side, Kaz and Co., You see, when we see you sweeping this under the carpet and refusing to address these contradictions, we think that you are complicit. We assume you're part of this cover up. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just have the guts? And what guts you need? You're talking to a friend. Why wouldn't you just say to a friend, hey, plenty of people out there don't get your contradiction. One of them seems to be a lie, Chris. Do you want to correct it? But no, we just get people turning the other way, pretending Chris never said that. It's odd. His own father, Peter Pennington, should have addressed it. You'd have thought that's some kind of paternal role, isn't it? Hey, son, you've said these two things. They can't both be right. You know, in honor of the family name, can't you just tell us why you said one of them that must be untrue? You know, just to clear this up. But no, no, no. Peter Pennington is more obsessed with shutting people like me up rather than getting to the truth, of course. And then last night was interesting. We had Eliza Vick, I think her name is, and I think I might have got this wrong, but I think Eliza used to be quite a participant on my channel and possibly other foul play group channels. Now it turns out that Eliza Vick is quote a very good friend or a good friend, maybe very good friend of Kaz Alice. So I said to Eliza, I said, so what are the answers you've been given? Because you're now friends of Casalis. Casalis has access to all of the answers. And let's just, for the sense of simplicity, for the sake of simplicity, let's take this one problem here. Eliza, when you speak to your good friend Kaz, and Kaz has access to all the answers, what is the answer to this? Is it possible to get a boat straight in to Juan Lopez Beach, no sharks included, and walk up the ravine? Yes or no? Eliza, what answer did you get from Kaz? Because I'm assuming when Eliza Vick says she's talked to Kaz about, quote, everything, I would guess everything includes all of the details in the Jay Slater case that don't seem to fit together. And whether you're accident group or foul play group, it doesn't fit together when we've got one of the Good Samaritan searchers saying, I had plans in place to go up that ravine, go to the beach by boat, and yet I also know it's impossible to do because the boat can't get to the beach and you've got hammerhead sharks. You see, if people like Eliza, who were once following the arguments on this side, have now ditched being interested in those arguments, what is going on in her head? Why has she switched to being a good friend of Kaz while these type of questions are still out there? This is what is a mystery, but it's only a mystery if we assume the accident group have a genuine interest in finding out what happened in the background of the Jay Slater case. If they are all happy to sweep things under the carpet, it begs the question, well, we're not surprised, but why, if it's an accident, would you do that? It's a circular argument, but it's fascinating. For this video, I just wanted to dip into what the plan might have been, because as usual, we're not given any details. We're just told, oh, Sluggy, Chris, Adrian, we had a plan. Yeah, if Guardia Civil weren't going to go and retrieve Jay's body, we were going in. You know, and you can hear the A-team music in the background, whatever. You can hear it in the background, and we have images of on their little boat because Sluggy's put out a post today, and I'll deal with it later, where he says, correctly so, you don't actually need pilot's license to hire a boat in Tenerife. If you have one little putt-putt boat, small engine, you can, the likes of Admiral Chris Pennington and, Commandeer Adrian Strawn, you can commandeer a little tiny boat. It doesn't have to be a big boat, does it? Because after all we're doing is removing a body. So yeah, you don't have to. So with the 18 music in the background, there's Chris saying, yeah, we got a boat hired, and if Guardia Civil aren't going to do their job next day, we give them a day, give them 24 hours to sort this out. Guardia Civil, are you listening to me? Yeah, I'm Chris Pennington. I sell real estate. I'm a big shot in a decade. Chris, yeah, I'm Chris. Yeah, you listening to me? You listening to me, Guardia Civil? We're going in there. Yeah, us British lads. Yeah, we're going to embarrass you and the Spanish government. And we're going to retrieve that body. How will you find things then, Guardia Civil? So we've got all this macho talk, 18 talk, Chris going in there. But what was the plan? First of all, if Chris is going in there, I guess with Adrian, I mean, you need two people to carry a body out, don't you? If it's not completely decomposed, and how would Chris, medical expert that he isn't, how would he know the state of decomposition? Could still be quite heavy. But anyway, let's assume in this plan, hey, Lucky, if you still got the plan written out on a bit of paper with all your spelling errors, just, you know, put it out there, post it so we can all see the plan. Why not? What have you got to hide? It was an accident. So what was it this plan? I guess Chris and Adrian go ashore, walk up the ravine, find the body, bring it back. But you're going to have to put the body in something. Yeah. I mean, we're past the point in this case of fearing getting gruesome, but here's the scenario. If you don't have a body bag, you got Chris on one end, dragging poor Jay's skeletal festering remains by the collar. And what's Adrian doing? Picking Jay up tentatively because he doesn't want the maggots crawling over him by his white or black trainers, and then stumbling back down the ravine to the boat. What is this plan exactly? I'm assuming there's a bag involved. But then again, the question is, how many body bags does Chris happen to have in his residence? Well, you know, you never know. You never know. Maybe a stack of 20 body bags is something that the Penningtons do keep in their Tenerife residence. I don't know. I would doubt it, but stranger things have happened. So then we have the scene. If Chris was ready with his body bag and Adrian to retrieve the body, where did he get his body bag from? Did he go into Lidl's the day before and happen to look at bin liners and see what the largest size was and try to test it? Did he put himself, his own heavy body with his ever-expanding fat ass in there and try to lift himself up? So, I don't know if that's going to, carry a body. Is he asking the shop assistant in Lidl's in his perfect Spanish, oye, por favor, necesito una bolsa más grande, eso es una bolsita, necesito una bolsa muy grande. Is he doing all that talk to the teenager in Lidl's that's serving him, saying, I can't deal with these little bags, I need a really big bag? And the 18-year-old shop assistant says, well, what do you need to put in the bag? ¿Qué vas a poner? Hombre, ¿qué vas a poner en esta bolsa? Yeah, what are you going to be putting in there? Obviamente, un cadáver. Obviously a corpse. What else would I be buying a big bag for? So we had this conversation, I guess, that happened in Lidl with the 18-year-old shop assistant trying to find a body bag for Chris, because in the plan it says he's got to retrieve this rotting corpse. So I'm wrong about that, Chris, Luggy, Adrian, then correct me. How was it planned that the festering, I guess, maggot-strewn remains of Jay are going to be dragged by Adrian and Chris to the boat? What was the plan there? If you don't have any answers, it means there was no such plan. If you do have the answers, why are you shy to share them? If you don't have any answers and there was no plan, then it means you're lying. If you lied about this, and you've lied about other things, I would submit. Eliza, have you asked about all of these details, or you just don't care? Did you become a caring and curious person and then woke up one morning, I'm not that caring, I'm not that curious, I'll join the accident group? Is that what happened? It's all very strange. Let's go back to the scenario of this plan. So let's imagine Chris has gone to Lidl. He's found a bigger bin liner and a sturdier thing that will serve as a body bag. Okay, he and Adrian walking up the ravine. We've got a problem here. Big problem. Because let's assume, for the sake of argument, that they do happen to stumble upon Jay's body. Let's assume that happens. I mean, they've already said it's very, very difficult to both walk and look after your own safety and security and search. But let's assume they get it right and they find Jay's body. The next problem is they've got to get back to the beach. Not only have they got to get back to the beach, but this plan has to cover how both Chris and Adrian, plus the festering body of Jay in the Lidl's bin liner body bag, is now going to be brought back to Juan Lopez Beach. And Chris has already said, you've got to keep your eyes on your own footing. It is so dangerous there that you can't really search for anything. You've got to be 100% focused on where you are stepping. But this plan complicates that by saying not only Chris, who we've seen fall down on his ever-expanding fat ass several times, just standing around, he falls over. And now he tells us the plan is that he, carrying a body in a bag behind him, I guess, and Adrian supporting the other end of the body bag. They have to look at their feet and their progress carrying a body. So the whole balance thing, we've seen Chris with his hiking poles. Yeah, Chris out there with his hiking poles. What's he done? Has he harnessed Jay's body over his shoulder? He's got a kind of Deliveroo special backpack that is already containing part of the body. I don't know how this works. Chris does. Sluggy does. Adrian does. They know the plan. How exactly was this body going to be brought back through the most difficult terrain where you can hardly step forward without falling over between two people who've never been up there? Adrian ain't no mountaineer. Chris ain't no mountaineer. They've confessed that. And yet they are going to perform one of the most difficult retrieval operations that even the Guardia Civil and the Bomberos on Tenerife say is hideously difficult. Only the very best trained would attempt to do this. Hey, but the A-team here, plan B. We've got it. It's in operation. It's that easy. We go in there, retrieve the body, get it back to the beach, and Guardia Civil and the Spanish government are shamed by the British gold medal winners. It's just that easy. Is it really? And this plan, what else did it include? When the body is back on the beach, what then? What then? You call the Coast Guard and say, hey, we've got a body. We're at Juan Lopez Beach. Want to come and pick it up? Is that the plan? I mean, it's a little bit dodgy. Yeah, it's a little bit dodgy. Coast Guard arrive. You got this real estate guy and his sidekick, dodgy as hell, saying, I know the Guardia Civil couldn't find him, but hey, guess what? We did. Here's the body. And you think the Coast Guard and the Guardia Civil, the police are going to go, oh, well, they must be totally innocent. You know, good Samaritans that they are, they turn up one Saturday, go and find him. Well, they're brilliant. How did they do that? I guess they knew where the body was because with LiDAR maps, they found something we never could. Maybe they have a special dog. How did they find that body? Yeah, nothing suspicious here. Yeah, well done, good Samaritans. Thank you, British lads. We're really chuffed you found the body. Right, you can go now. We'll get the forensics people over. And then they've got to get out to their boat, which is 500 meters away. So with this boat, as Sluggy says, as Sluggy correctly says, you don't need a pilot's license, boat pilot license to hire little boats. Yeah. Chris and Adrian going their 500 meters breaststroke out to the boat. Yeah. Still in contact with each other. Yeah. Adrian, hammerheads to the left, hammerheads to the left. Yeah. Portuguese man of war to the right. Don't get stung. Keep going, keep going. We're nearly to the boat. As they go back out to their boat, who's on that boat? Because Luggy says it's not him. I wasn't in Tenerife. I wasn't in charge of a boat. Luggy says I booked the boat. Yeah, I booked it, but I booked it from Wales, didn't I? I didn't book it from Tenerife. Okay, so who's on the boat? Or is it in the contract of these little boats that when you book the boat and the person that is in charge of the booking, the responsible person that is, driving, they're putting around the coast in their little tiny boat. Yeah. Admiral Pennington, Commandeer Strawn, Strachan, here we go. In the contract, does it say, oh, by the way, if at any stage you want to leave the boat, just anchor 500 meters offshore, disappear for the whole day. Doesn't matter. We don't need anyone that books this boat responsible for the boat actually being on the boat. They can just bob around wherever you want. That's fine. That's fine, as long as you bring it back in one piece. Is that how it works, Sluggy? Yeah? So when you hire the boat from Wales, and the person that's actually going to be in the boat ain't you, it's some other person, well, I guess you just happen to have Chris Pennington's personal details on your file. Yeah, I'll send you a copy of his passport. I'll send you a copy of his residence card. I'll send you a copy of his credit card. The guy that's actually going to be taking the boat, he can't speak to you because he's in Tenerife. He's busy. I'm in Fishguard and I'm free as a bird, or free as a fairy. I can speak to you all day. So I'll book it for him. I just happen to have all his details you need. I'll send that over. And yeah, I just want to check because he won't actually be on the boat for a good few hours. He has to walk up a ravine and get a body bag, get a body down to the beach. But I mean, if they leave the boat there for several hours unattended, that is okay, isn't it? Luggy, is that part of the contract? I will roast Luggy a little bit more later, but I'm just throwing out there for now. How did this plan B work? From the moment Chris stepped foot in his Lidl's, his local Lidl's, to get a body bag or something that could act as a body bag, how did this plan get put into operation? If this is all an accident, it's no problem. Post the plan. Let us have a look at it. We can all debate it and discuss it. It might have been a brilliant plan. But those of us of a skeptical nature say if you can't show us what the plan was, we suspect you never had one. Look at me. I've been posting emails that confirm that I'm still getting job offers, that I was invited to the Christmas party, that I was given an assignment if I wanted it. 6 months after, apparently, I was fired. I'm quite happy to put those emails out. Yes, I have to redact some personal details of me or other people, of course. But I do it just to say, this is my evidence. Conspicuous by its absence on the other side is, oh, we don't need to produce any evidence. We don't need to do that. We just make up what we think is something that sounds right. And if you don't believe it, you can go away. Well, we could go away, but we won't go away. And this morning, Sluggy's post is it's about 100 lines, I think. The tossometer, if you don't know what the tossometer is, the tossometer reads, it kind of shows how much someone gives a toss. So if the tossometer is registering quite high, it shows that someone really does give a toss about something. And on the one hand, we've had Sluggy saying, oh, I don't give a toss about Duncan. I don't give a toss about his followers. I don't give a toss about any of them. But when you hold the tossometer up to this 100-line post that Luggy's put out there, it's registering very high. He's mentioning Jay Smith, he's mentioning Raffle he's mentioning me, and the tossometer is that tossometer is way up there. So again, Eliza Vick, when you speak to your good friend Kaz and you ask her, is Luggy one of those that gives a toss or not? And if he isn't, like he says he isn't, why does he keep writing about this stuff? What was the answer you got there, Eliza? Or again, you talk to Kaz about everything, but you don't talk to Kaz about everything. Let's leave it there. A lot more roasting to go, of course, later. And it's Spain versus Argentina. Got the Spain shirt on, but I suspect it might be Argentina's day. How can I position myself on the fence perfectly here? I don't know. Yo no sé. Okay, hasta luego. Adios. Hasta Lisa. See you next time.